First, there was the legendary Tito Puente, the salsa legend who won 8 Grammy Awards, who received an honorary seat in the United States Senate, and whose career spanned 8 United States presidencies. A man who was loved and was world-renowned for his mambo salsa rhythms. And now, Tito Puente Jr. follows suit, keeping his father's music alive while creating vibrant and fresh infusions of salsa blended with many of today's contemporary sounds and music. This is Dialogue with Tito Puente Jr. at the New York Pod Cafe. Hi Tito, so good to see you here.
Thank you so much. Muchas gracias por
Thank you
invitarme.
so much for coming and joining us at the New York Pod Cafe. I heard that you were in New Jersey PAC recently.
Yes.
How did it go for you there?
Wonderful, wonderful. It was nice to be close to New York, New Jersey, New York, tri-state area. It was a nice tribute and retrospect to my father's life and legacy. I performed his music, and it was a nice treat to come home to New York and perform for the metropolitan area. And I was there with, of course, Spanish Harlem Orchestra. It was an amazing group, a Grammy Award-winning band right here from Spanish Harlem. And it was a wonderful, wonderful evening. Big crowd. I think the president was in town, so it kind of like the concert was a little bit delayed. You know, it was right there in Newark. So the president, Obama, thank you for making the concert late, but we appreciate it. But it was quite an impressive day. There were quite a few things going on in New York. They had the New York City Marathon. The president was here. Of course, the Yankees-Phillies game, World Series was going on, and then the Giants played, and the Jets, and there's a lot of things going on. But a lot of people came out to the concert, so I was happy about that.
That's wonderful.
So, very, very nice. Very
That's
nice
fabulous. So I know that your life as a musician is pretty much on the road, and as many performers say, home is where you hang your hat. But can you share with us where you officially reside?
I officially reside in an area called Miramar, Florida, and I have a home there where I purchased a home about maybe 2 years ago. When the home market was a little bit better. But I purchased a home over there because I decided to have children. So I reside over there. It's a very quiet, quaint neighborhood. But New York will always be my heart. I was born and raised in this city. My mother, my sister, my brother, they all still live here. My sister, of course, is a popular local news anchor, meteorologist, if you will, over here in New York. So it's nice to come home and be recognized and be around para mi gente, Latino, tan aquí.
Wow.
So I go back and forth. It's very simple for me. Miami's just a hop, skip, and a jump. So, to a New Yorker it is. So, but I reside down in South Florida. It's kind of cool in the wintertime, and then I come over here during the summer, of course, for the Puerto Rican parade and all the concerts and the festivals. So.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah, so I'm back and forth.
So you get the best of both worlds. You
Yeah.
get the fast, speedy life in New York.
I'll say I'm an East Coast guy. I'm an East Coast cat. The East Coast.
So I saw a home video clip on one of your websites, and
It wasn't me. I didn't know.
no, it
Maybe
was you. It was you.
Uh-oh.
You were this happy little boy playing timbales with some joy and zeal. Like you resembled your dad.
Yeah.
I was totally awestruck. Tell us about your background in music and how you came into your own in the music industry. Was your dad a big influence?
Absolutely. Tito Puente was probably an influence in many, many musicians' lives. I think especially musicians that were born and raised in New York will remember that Tito Puente was born and raised in New York too. A lot of people think my father was Cuban, but he's really Puerto Rican. My father was probably the only Puerto Rican that played Cuban music, guaguancó, rumba, cha-cha-cha, mambo. But me growing up, being surrounded by an icon like that, I didn't really look at my father as anything else but just dear old dad. So I got into rock and hip hop and the music of the 70s and 80s, disco, dance, R&B, blues, house music, rock and roll, heavy metal. I was so into that, and I think growing up loving that music, the likes of Michael Jackson, the Rolling Stones, Metallica, those groups and those artists to me were like icons to me, and I was so influenced by them that I started out performing in a rock band. Started off with Trap Kit first. And my father used to laugh because then I started doing some dance music, and I started hanging around the nightclubs and in the 80s and meeting a lot of DJs and stuff, and he would be like, well, where did you go last night? I said, what's house music, to go see some house. He's like, whose house? You know, he was so into jazz music. Tito Puente really loved jazz music a lot. And to me, I thought that was like very, very creative on his part, because he was so into Latin music and jazz, and he combined those two styles from his creation of when he was growing up. And with me, I kind of added my own little quirky style to dance music, and then brought it into the Latin music world, and vice versa. So to me, he was a grand influence in my life personally, as being a dear old father to me and to our family. But in my music, I was mostly influenced by the pop music of that era, the 80s. You know, I'm an 80s guy. So I love all that retro stuff. And I still to this day love all the dance music and all the old school groups and the Rolling Stones and Phil Collins. And, you know, those are some of my favorites. But Tito Puente was in there somewhere.
I think it's wonderful
Yeah.
that you've experienced the best of both worlds, and that you're bringing the best of both worlds now.
I think most musicians that are born and raised in this type of atmosphere in the tri-state area, you're getting the best of every world. New York is such a melting pot of different cultures that you're getting rock and hip hop and rap, and this is like the pioneers of those styles of music were born here, and especially the mambo music, with the likes of Tito Rodriguez and Machito and Tito Puente. Those three were just like the icons of their era or their time, and still are till today. I mean, those are like the pioneers of the whole mambo Latin movement. Even before Ricky Martin and Mark Anthony and Jennifer Lopez, it was all about Tito Puente, Celia Cruz.
Yes.
They were like the king and queen of this whole Latino explosion, if you will.
Yes, I remember the history was the Fania All-Stars. In fact, I used to work for a promoter. His name was William Rodriguez. I hope he doesn't mind that I mention his name. Very
Sure.
nice gentleman. He was a promoter for Ralph Mercado Management.
Absolutely.
And he interfaced a lot with your dad, Celia Cruz, Iris Chacon, and all of these
All the
wonderful
greats.
Latin, singers. And I was just so envious, because I was this little girl in this sheltered world who wanted to see that. You know? But it was just wonderful to
Amazing.
hear all about his experiences.
Yeah, it's great, and I'm glad that my father got to be part of that whole Fania era too. He was part of the Fania Records. He was part of Tico, Alegre music. He was part of the whole entire Fania movement. Tito Puente was kind of like the backbone of it. My father did I think he did over about 100 records for the Fania label.
Oh my gosh.
So numerous records, and he brought Celia into the whole mix, and La Lupe, and just some great arrangements by my late father with the whole Fania label. He was not part of Fania, but he was almost like the godfather of Fania.
Yes,
him and Pacheco worked many times, and on the 100th LP of my late father, Pacheco and Dad got together and did some great arrangements.
That's
That's cool stuff.
phenomenal.
But he was an influence to many musicians.
That's phenomenal. And I heard recently, I think it was in March, that Ralph Mercado passed away. May he rest in peace.
Yes.
He was responsible for a lot of those careers, that took off.
He was responsible for the careers of my late father and many careers of great artists, including Mark Anthony, India, and Celia too. He guided them into certain stardom that really shined a different light on the Latin music of New York. Yeah. And we miss Ralphie, Uncle Ralphie. He was Uncle Ralphie to me, and he will be missed dearly. I don't think we'll ever see a pioneer like that again. He really made an impact here in New York and worldwide too. So
life in your home, in the Puentes home, must have been very exciting. You must have lived to see so many. You must have life in the Puentes home must have been quite something. You must have seen many music celebrities coming in through your doors.
I didn't see a lot of celebrities coming through the door, but I did. They saw me. I was very young, so my dad was already a celebrity. I would say that he was already a celebrity when I was at the age of 5 and 6 years old. I mean, this was the 70s and 80s and 90s. I mean, so I didn't really look at any of the celebrities as, wow, I didn't really know who they were at the time. I was so into, toys and Star Wars and things like that. But musically, there was a lot of musicians coming through. And I think they would call. There'd be a lot of phone calls from different celebrities. I can remember one story where there was a phone call and a gentleman called and he says, I want to speak to TP. And I said, TP, okay, well, I'm Tito too as well. So I'm like, well, who's this? He goes, man, this is the Cause. I said, what's the Cause? And I didn't understand. I was like, well, you can call